Hailed as one of sport's greatest challenges, the Triple Crown, it has survived the Great Depression, 2 world wars, a global pandemic. But after what horse racing just announced, I'm not sure we're going to see another Triple Crown winner. Over the past few weeks, some of the biggest players in racing, they unveiled a new path for determining the best 3-year-old horse in the U.S. Now, it is designed to solve some real problems facing this sport, create rivalries, keep fans engaged after the Kentucky Derby, give people a reason to just keep watching. But there's just one problem. The very thing that could strengthen horse racing in the US can also weaken one of its greatest traditions, because there's one important race that doesn't fit neatly into this new future, the Preakness. And when you look at this new series alongside of another major change that's already been announced to the Triple Crown schedule, you're going to see this is much bigger than just adding a few races. So is this the end of the Triple Crown as we know it? I'm Maura from Trifecta and a little bit extra. Each week I tell you, I give you the stats and you make the picks. But today I want to just step back and give you a full picture, because this is bigger than any one race or any one pick. And I want to be clear about something up front. This is just my analysis based on what's been publicly announced so far. There may be politics behind some of these decisions, but we don't know everything that's happened behind closed doors, and I'm not going to pretend to know that we do. What I'm interested in is something more important. What happens next? What does it mean for racing fans, and whether changing the sport to save it could ultimately change the Triple Crown forever? Understand how we got here? We need to start at the beginning. It was 1919, a horse that never won a single race, Sir Barton. He enters the Kentucky Derby. He's just supposed to set the pace for a stablemate, but against all odds, he wins by 5 lengths. And 5 days later, yes, I said 5 days, he wins the Preakness. Now, for those of you who don't follow racing closely, today it's just so rare for a horse to run back in a few weeks, much less days. And 5 weeks later, he also wins the Belmont Stakes. At this time, the Triple Crown wasn't even thought of. In fact, we didn't hear that term until the 1930s, when it was popularized by Charles Hatton, a columnist for Daily Racing Form. But the real story is this. It's really difficult for any horse to achieve those 3 victories only weeks apart. Only 13 horses in history have done so. Now, why is that? Well, these are 3-year-olds, and they're like kids. The Kentucky Derby is a major challenge. First, at 1.25 miles, this is the longest distance they've ever raced, and they're trying to reach the finish line against a field bigger than they've ever seen. 19 other horses today, in front of 150,000 screaming fans. And that's just the first leg. 2 weeks later, we have the Preakness in Maryland, 1.316 miles. And then 3 weeks later, the most grueling of the 3, the Belmont Stakes, 1.5 miles. This is an intense test of endurance. You're not supposed to win the Triple Crown. You're only supposed to witness it maybe once or twice in your lifetime. And many fans will say it should never be changed. But in the past couple weeks, decisions have been made to change the Triple Crown, and also how a 3-year-old champion is determined. Let's start with moving the date of the Preakness. On August 5th, 2026, the governor for the state of Maryland, Governor Moore, announced that beginning in 2027, the Preakness will now be held 8 days later, giving 3 weeks between the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness. 8 days, not 7, which means it's going to be held on a Sunday. The Black-Eyed Susan, the sister race for 3-year-old fillies, now gets that primetime media coverage on Saturday. The goal of the move? Elevate and showcase Maryland horse racing, which helps local businesses and local families. See, what you may not realize is this. The governor and first lady are committed supporters of the equine industry in Maryland. Pimlico Racetrack, the home of the Preakness, is undergoing a massive rebuild to the tune of $400 million. Be prepared to see world-class amenities. And while you may have known that, did you also know that this past April, the state approved the purchase of Laurel Park, also in Maryland, to redevelop its horse training facility? After redevelopment, Pimlico will host nearly 120 days of racing annually versus 15 per year, while Laurel will become a permanent thoroughbred training center. The other significant acquisition to the state of Maryland made was for the intellectual property rights for the Preakness and the Black-Eyed Susan. And while that may seem, boring, it's not. Let's explore what owning the IP rights even means. It doesn't mean owning or operating the race. It means owning the Preakness brand, trademarks, licensing. Without these rights, Maryland could own Pimlico. They could operate the Preakness, but never own the brand. And they were paying a third party First Racing a lot of money to conduct and market the event. But then First Racing, they announced they were selling these rights. Churchill Downs raised their hand and they said, we'll buy them for $85 million. But First Racing, they couldn't just sell these rights outright. They had to give the state of Maryland first right of refusal. What was the state of Maryland to do? They already invested hundreds of millions of dollars into rebuilding Pimlico. They committed to the redevelopment of the training facility at Laurel. Were they just supposed to keep spending millions and millions of dollars to license the brand of their premier event from someone else or acquire those rights? Well, of course they acquired those rights. Now we're going to return to that thought in a moment. Back to moving the Preakness by 8 days. In the past few years, we've seen Kentucky Derby horses, even winners, just bypass the race and miss out on the chance to win the Triple Crown. Trainers say it wasn't in the best interest of the horse. That 14-day turnaround was just way too short. Most trainers allow for approximately 30 days of recovery. It helps the horse heal from any soreness, build up energy reserves, allows for peak performance. Just like us humans, I used to run marathons, half marathons. I understand the need for a period of rest. Now, is that a newer phenomenon? Well, sure does seem like horses run less races per year. So if you are the state of Maryland, you're investing in the future, the prestige of thoroughbred racing in your state, and the crown jewel that you have is the Preakness. Yet owners and trainers, they're bypassing it. It seems logical. Move it by a week, put it on what's going to probably fall on Memorial Day weekend most years, and allow the Black-Eyed Susan to be broadcast nationally on Saturday in prime time and the Preakness on Sunday. And everybody has Monday, the holiday, to travel home. Now, yes, I know many of you are going to say, you should never change it. It's tradition. And I get that. But seeing it through the state of Maryland's lens, I hope you can understand their reasoning. To them, the equine industry is key to their economy. It generates $3 billion. It supports 28,000 jobs. It's an industry they want to invest in. And honestly, if you love the sport, that is something we should all be applauding because the sport is in a state of decline. The Jockey Club recently held a roundtable in Saratoga. I watched the replay on YouTube. Here's the trouble we're facing. Less fans lead to less owners, lead to less racehorses. And the roundtable showed the declining foal crop leads to smaller field sizes. And that lack of competition doesn't draw many new fans in. And now we have this spiral that threatens the sport. But as depressing as all of that sounds to those of us who really love the sport, we've got this incredible entry point that happens first Saturday of May, the Kentucky Derby. Did you know that 24.4 million people, they watch the Kentucky Derby, but 80% never watch another horse race again? People, not just regular fans, regular people, they stop what they're doing on the first Saturday in May. They put on a big hat, they drink a mint julep, and they attend a Derby party. Yet the party ends when the race is over. Enter in the new championship series for 3-year-olds, 6 races for points, and at the end, a champion is crowned. Now let's extend that party through September. See, horse racing is not just competing with other sports. It's competing with every other form of entertainment out there, which now exists right here in the palm of our hands. And attention, that's hard to keep. 70% of the people who started this video is probably dropped off by now. How do you generate interest? especially in a sport that doesn't have a team that you can identify with and root for, a sport whose star players are only on the track for 2 minutes at a time, and the four-legged ones we don't get to see week after week. It's not an easy answer. In fact, at the roundtable, Tom Hashimoto from Japan's Racing Association, he spoke about how Japan, they were seeing the same trends, yet they turned those trends around. They broaden horse racing's appeal and fan base. Now, I want to stop there for a second and repeat what I just said. Our goal is to broaden the appeal and the fan base. This is what's needed. Now, you may not increase dedicated handicappers that bet week after week. You may not find new pockets of the population that really want to study the racing form. This is not about us having a goal to increase that traditional fan base. We need to broaden the fans. We need the younger generation to find us, be entertained by us, and want to attend races and maybe even watch them on TV. And some of you are going to say, well, those aren't the real fans, but they are. Remember, we need all types of fans. And let's remember, all of us who entered the sport, we entered as casual fans. So how did Japan do it? Hashimoto stated, you got to make racing feel familiar to the general public, have frequent contact in their everyday lives. Well, that's no small feat. He credited online betting, which we have in many states, celebrity promotions that show how exciting racing can be. Well, we've got that too. But then he said something really interesting. People outside of racing got involved and created entertainment around racing in Japan. TV shows, including a drama series called Passing the Reins, takes you behind the scenes of racing in Japan. And anime games, including Uma Musume's Pretty Derby, which, by the way, I have a few followers from Pretty Derby. So if you're on here, hello to you. In Pretty Derby, the characters, they're taken from real racehorses and they run on real Japanese tracks, which generated significant interest in the sport of racing from younger populations. In fact, someone commented on one of my videos that they think YouTube recommended them to me because of their interest in Pretty Derby. And now they want to learn real racing. So it's true. Drama, entertainment, prevalence is key. Enter in the new 6-part 3-year-old championship series created by Churchill Downs and the New York Racing Association. 6 races to determine who's the best of the best of 3-year-olds. In each race, horses, they're going to earn points for the chance to win, get this, a $5 million prize pool, starting with the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs in May, then on to the Belmont Stakes in New York, back to Churchill Downs for the Matt Win, on to Saratoga for the Jim Dandy and the Travers, and back to Churchill Downs for a race in September. May to September, the goal is have nearly the same horses in every race. Rivalries are going to start to form. All horses striving for one goal, a points race. Now you have drama. Now we're giving people a reason to care about racing all summer long and a chance to broaden our appeal to new audiences. Remember, the goal is to get people who have never bet a dollar on horses to care about who's leading in the standings in the middle of August. But here's the thing. Where is the Preakness in this 6-part series? It's not in there. Now, some people have said, hey, there's been politics between the state of Maryland and Churchill Downs, and that led to the decision. And that may be true. But I'm just going to say this. I don't have a clue of why the decision was made and any conversations that have been had. Nothing in my research has showed why the Preakness was left out. And honestly, I'd rather not speculate. Where I want to focus is, what does this mean for the Triple Crown? Are we not going to see another Triple Crown winner? While the Preakness didn't go away, remember, they just moved it back a week to hopefully see some more Derby horses entered. The result was it now just shortened the time between the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes. The Belmont didn't move. And the Belmont is the most grueling race of them all. You absolutely need stamina to win. If horses want to race in all 6 races to accumulate those points and the potential to win the $5 million prize pool, will they really want to compete in the Preakness if it means their performance may not be as stellar in the Belmont Stakes? Now, some trainers like Bob Baffert, they've said the Triple Crown will go on because of its prestige. But it's going to have to be a really special horse to win both the Triple Crown and this series. But honestly, wasn't it always a special horse to win the Triple Crown to begin with? I mean, there's only been 13 winners. I do want to acknowledge that for a lot of racing fans, this news was difficult. It was for me. The Triple Crown is tradition. You have memories of watching it with your mom and dad. For me, it was my mom. Many of you will tell me you will never forget Secretariat's win at the Belmont. It still gives you chills. For me, it was Justify's win. When he won, I was jumping up and down and screaming at the kids saying, now is it worth it for us to drive all the way to Kentucky to see Justify train at 6 a.m. in the morning for only 15 minutes? Well, their reply was nope. But honestly, if he's the last Triple Crown winner, lucky number 13, they may rethink that. If you're feeling like this is a loss, I'm with you. Even though I can really see the benefit of this new series, I don't think there's one good answer here. But we will find out together how owners, trainers, and most of all, us fans, new and old, respond. Now, here is where I want to hear from you. What did you learn? What do you think? How do you feel? Does this help save the sport or hurt it? Tell me in the comments below. This channel works because we figure all of this out together. Now, I know this can be an emotional topic, so all I ask you is this: keep it classy and keep it respectful. And if you want more of this, race analysis, industry stories, a little bit of extra in between, go ahead and hit like and hit subscribe. And also don't forget, I have a newsletter, subscribe.trifectaandextra.com, or use this QR code right here on the screen. After you sign up, though, I immediately send you an email. You have to find it, open it, and confirm your email, or you're not on the list. Thank you, everybody, for just supporting me in discussing this important topic. Until next time, cheers.